Level 1. The Gate Guardian. The sword ignites before you see the gate. White fire tears across the desert horizon, bright enough to turn night into morning. 27 soldiers freeze beside you. 6 researchers stop breathing. 3 armored vehicles sink slightly into the sand as the shockwave rolls across the dunes. Nobody gives an order. Nobody needs to. Every person present understands the same thing at the same time. You are standing in front of something humanity was never meant to approach. The gate rises beyond the horizon, impossibly tall, impossibly old. Its golden pillars stretch upward until the clouds hide them. Light spills from the opening between them, like the world is bleeding sunlight. And before it stands the Guardian, 4 wings, armor brighter than the desert sun, a blade made of living flame. You are a Foundation researcher with Level 3 clearance. 3 days ago, you believed anomalies were objects. Dangerous, yes. Unexplainable, sometimes. But still objects. Things that could be studied, measured, classified, contained. Now you stand 6 kilometers from a being that makes every containment chamber on Earth feel childish. Your mission is simple. Observe. Record. Do not approach. A security captain beside you drops to one knee. Nobody tells him to. He simply does it. Like some old part of his body remembers how to kneel before power. You want to judge him. Then the Guardian turns its head. Not toward him, toward you. The air leaves your lungs. Your ears ring. Your vision narrows until the entire desert disappears, except for the burning figure at the gate. For half a second, you feel seen in a way no camera, no file, no Foundation interview has ever seen you. Not watched, measured. The Guardian does not attack. It does not speak. It simply returns its gaze to the gate. That is worse. You spend 4 months at Observation Site Alpha. Every drone sent forward vanishes before crossing the perimeter. Every signal distorts. Every satellite image returns corrupted with the same impossible glow. The Foundation throws money, machines, and mathematics at the desert. The desert does not care. At night, you study ancient records, Babylonian tablets, Egyptian wall carvings, medieval manuscripts, erased religious fragments recovered from vaults beneath dead cities. Different names, different languages, the same figure, the same sword, the same forbidden entrance. Empires rise, empires die. The Guardian remains. Level 1 changes you because it removes the first illusion. Humanity is not in control. Humanity is being tolerated. And once that truth enters your mind, it never leaves. Level 2, the factory. You wake up on an assembly line, not in a bed, not in a cell, on a moving belt made of black iron, beneath hanging chains and lamps that swing without wind. For 3 seconds, you do not remember how you got there. Then the smell hits you. Oil, burning metal, rotten meat, blood. The factory is not supposed to have you. The recovery team enters through a rusted warehouse outside Chicago at 4:30. You are there as an observer, still haunted by the Gate Guardian, still looking for the origin of things that existed before humanity. The entrance looks ordinary from outside. Broken windows, collapsed brick, old warning signs. Inside, the building stretches farther than the city above it. Machines move without power. Conveyors vanish into smoke. Workers shuffle between production lines, some human, some partly mechanical, some so changed that your brain refuses to keep looking at them. None of them react to your team. They only work. You see toys rolling down one belt. Bright plastic, painted smiles, harmless colors. A researcher beside you whispers that last year, Similar toys cause 417 deaths across 5 countries before the Foundation tracks the source. Another line produces mirrors that remove reflections. Another produces clocks that make people relive the same hour until their minds collapse. Another produces something covered by a wet canvas, and when the canvas moves by itself, the security team immediately seals that section. You ask who runs the place. Nobody answers, because nobody knows. Then the floor opens beneath you. The fall lasts only seconds. When you wake, you are on the belt. Your wrists are strapped down. Above you, metal arms move with surgical precision. Something scans your face. A machine stamps a blank tag with your employee number. Not your name, your number. The worker beside you has no eyes. He leans close and whispers, "Do not slow production." You survive because your team finds you 11 minutes later. 11 minutes is enough. Enough to understand that the factory does not hate you. Hatred would require attention. It does not enjoy suffering. Enjoyment would require personality. The factory only produces. At level 2, you learn the second illusion. Evil does not always arrive as a monster. Sometimes evil is a system so efficient that people become raw material. And the worst part is how familiar it feels. Level 3, the prototype. The bullet enters your chest at 943 meters per second. You feel the impact, the fracture, the heat. Then you wake up 3 hours later, alive. Because that is exactly what the experiment is designed to test. At level 3, you become part of the prototype. Not a researcher watching from behind glass. Not an observer taking notes on ancient power. This time, the Foundation does not send you to study SCP-001. It puts SCP-001 inside you. The project begins beneath Site-17, in a room with no windows, and 12 doctors who refuse to use your name. They tell you the prototype is an early attempt to create the perfect anomaly-resistant human asset. A body that can survive what ordinary personnel cannot. A mind that can remain functional under exposure. A soldier, researcher, and containment tool in one organism. They do not call you a person. They call you a platform. The first month is injections, bone reinforcement, memory testing, pain tolerance, controlled exposure to low-risk anomalies. You recover faster than expected. The doctors smile more often. The security officers stop looking at you with sympathy and start looking at you with caution. That is when you understand. Success makes you less human to them. Month 3 brings field testing. They place you inside a chamber with an object known to induce organ failure in 90% of subjects after direct exposure. You last 22 minutes. Your heart stops twice. The system restarts it both times. The report calls the trial promising. You call it something else in your head, but the word no longer matters. The Foundation rewards you with access, better quarters, more direct briefings. Your body becomes stronger. Your reflexes sharpen. You begin hearing electrical systems before they activate. You predict breach alarms seconds before they sound. People start trusting your instincts. Then they start depending on them. At level 3, power enters your body and takes space where fear used to live. You tell yourself this is worth it. You survived the gate. You survived the factory. You can survive becoming useful. But usefulness is a trap. Because once the Foundation discovers what you can endure, it begins designing missions around your endurance. Level 4, the Broken God. The first piece replaces your left hand. Not because you lose it, because you choose to. That is how the church gets inside you. At level 4, you encounter the Broken God through a hidden workshop beneath Istanbul. Foundation intelligence calls it a raid. The believers call it a sanctuary. You walk through steel archways, carved with mechanical prayers, and see hundreds of people willingly replacing flesh with machinery. No screaming, no chains, only devotion. They believe the body is a failed design, soft, emotional, temporary. They believe McCain, the broken god, offers humanity a path beyond weakness. You should reject it immediately. Instead, after the prototype experiments, part of you understands them. Your body already belongs partly to the Foundation. Your bones are reinforced. Your nerves are altered. Your blood carries compounds you cannot pronounce. The Church only says the quiet part aloud. Humanity is something that can be edited. The mechanical hand is beautiful, stronger than the original, more precise. It never trembles. It never tires. When you attach it, pain burns up your arm for 30 seconds. Then control arrives. Perfect control. For a while, you feel liberated. Flesh becomes inefficient. Emotion becomes noise. Your new hand responds faster than thought. Then your forearm is replaced. Then parts of your spine. Then one eye. Every upgrade gives you power. Every upgrade takes something you do not notice until later. You stop dreaming. You stop flinching at suffering. You stop remembering certain faces with warmth. At level 4, you learn the cost of improvement. Not all cages are built from weakness. Some are built from perfection. And by the time you realize perfection is making you colder, you are already listening for the sound of gears inside your own heart. Level 5. The Scarlet King. The cultists are not afraid of the end. They are waiting for it. At level 5, you enter a world touched by the Scarlet King. The first sign is a village in northern Romania, where every clock stops at 3:33 a.m. The second is a church basement filled with red symbols, painted in languages no one present should know. The third is a group of ordinary people, smiling while they prepare for extinction, like it is a wedding. The Scarlet King does not arrive like a monster in a chamber. It arrives through belief, through fear, through despair, through the part of the human mind that starts wanting the world to end, because continuing feels harder. Foundation analysts show you maps, missing person clusters, ritual sites, bloodline records, ancient texts that all point toward the same thing, an entity so old and so hateful that even describing it gives its followers strength. You join containment operations across 17 countries. You destroy shrines, interrogate cult leaders, burn documents, seal tunnels. Every victory feels temporary because the cult never behaves like an organization. It behaves like an infection. At night, you begin hearing its philosophy in your own thoughts. Everything breaks eventually. Every civilization rots. Every act of hope is just denial with better language. That is the danger. The Scarlet King does not need to convince you he is good. Only that resistance is pointless. You fight that thought for years, and you win. Mostly. At level 5, you learn that some enemies do not attack your body or your reality. They attack your reason to continue. And once you survive that, you think you understand the end of the world. You do not. Level 6. When day breaks. The sun rises at 6:14 a.m. At 6:15, humanity begins screaming. The first footage comes from Los Angeles. People step into morning light and change before they understand what is happening. Bodies soften, shapes collapse, voices merge. Within hours, cities turn into bright streets, filled with moving masses that still remember enough to call for the people hiding indoors. You survive because you are underground. Site 19 seals itself before noon. Not everyone makes it inside. That fact becomes the first silence. At level 6, you live through when day breaks. The sun, once the oldest symbol of life, becomes the thing no one is allowed to see. Windows are sealed. Cameras pointed outside burn out. Surface teams move only at night, and even then, they do not look at the horizon. For the first week, people believe rescue is coming. For the first month, people believe reversal is possible. By the first year, belief becomes rationed like food. The Foundation changes underground. Titles matter less. Clearance matters less. Hunger, discipline, and the ability to keep working matter more. You watch brilliant researchers steal medication. Guards cry silently in storage rooms. Site directors age 10 years in 6 months. The outside world does not die quickly. That is the horror. It continues. The transformed masses gather around entrances and speak in familiar voices. Level 7. The database. The file updates while you are reading it. That is the first impossible thing. The second is worse. The file is about you, not your personnel history, not your medical records, your life, your exact thoughts, your private memories. The first time you saw the Gate Guardian, the smell of the factory, the bullet entering your chest, the mechanical hand, the Scarlet King whispering through hopelessness, the sunlight outside Site 19. Every sentence appears before you think it. You step away from the terminal. The text continues. At level 7, you enter the database. The proposal begins as a rumor among surviving researchers, a hidden layer of reality where all anomalous events exist as written entries. Every SCP, every containment breach, every death, every choice. Recorded like a story being edited by something outside the world. The idea should be impossible, but impossibility has lost its authority over you. You spend months trying to disprove it. You check timestamps, metadata, disconnected terminals, air-gapped archives. The database follows. It writes faster than you can investigate. It describes your doubt before you express it. Then one day, you try to make a choice it does not predict. You turn left instead of right. The file already says you do. That moment breaks something quiet inside you. Free will does not vanish all at once. It becomes uncertain. That is worse. You still feel choice. You still feel fear. You still feel guilt. But now, every action carries a shadow. What if this was always written? At level 7, the prison becomes invisible. No walls, no guards, no locks, only narrative. And you finally understand why some truths stay buried. Because a person can survive monsters. But surviving the possibility that your life is authored by someone else is much harder. Level 8, the Foundation. The final file contains only one sentence. You are already inside SCP-001. No object, no monster, no gate, no factory, no sun. Only the Foundation. At level 8, you reach the last proposal. The possibility that the SCP Foundation itself is SCP-001. Not an organization containing anomalies, but the first anomaly that learns to call itself necessary. A system so large, so secret, and so deeply embedded into human history that it changes reality by deciding what reality is allowed to know about itself. At first, you reject it. Then you examine the pattern. The Gate Guardian teaches humanity humility. The factory teaches systems to produce horror. The prototype turns people into tools. The broken god replaces humanity piece by piece. The Scarlet King weaponizes despair. When daybreaks destroys the outside world, the database suggests all of it may be written. And through every version, one thing remains. The Foundation. Watching, classifying, surviving. You sit alone in an archive beneath a dead world, reading files that should not exist, and understand the final cost of knowledge. The Foundation does not merely respond to the impossible. It shapes the impossible into language, procedures, classes, proposals, warnings, and secrets. It gives humanity a way to keep moving through realities that should have ended it. That sounds noble. Then you remember every sacrifice, every experiment, every erased life, every locked door. Power and freedom separate completely at the top. The Foundation can protect humanity only by controlling what humanity is allowed to know, and everyone inside it pays with pieces of themselves until the system feels more real than the people it claims to save. Years later, a new researcher receives a file marked SCP-001. Their hands shake slightly. You watch from behind reinforced glass as they open it for the first time. They think they are about to discover the first anomaly. They think one proposal must be real, and the others must be lies. They do not understand yet. Maybe all of them are lies. Maybe all of them are true. Maybe SCP-001 is not the beginning of the anomalous world. Maybe it is the moment a person learns enough to never return to the ordinary one. The new researcher reads the first line. Somewhere far away, a sword ignites in the desert, and the cycle begins again.